Our primary reason for doing the survey is to make sure that we are addressing disease, reduction in disease. To do that effectively, we need to know how many animals are in this area. And because animals are such a big part of your culture, we also want to know what is the perception between the Haitians and their animals. It impacts everything from attitude to rabies prevention to the operations of the national laboratory to the way that we look at the care of our animals. It's all wraps back down to this survey. What kind of budget do we have to rebuild the walls, help rebuild the laboratory, and I think we even have a bus coming. What kind of total budget do we have for the laboratory?
For this objective, it's approximately 1/3 of the whole budget for the project. It's 310,000, and for that we can break it down into the various parts. The first one is the wall, which has cost us 65,000 in total, and that's nearly completed. We have over here in the corner here, we have the zoonosis laboratory, which is a standalone dedicated laboratory, and that is about 55,000 US
and being built from scratch?
Completely from scratch, as a
awesome.
dedicated unit.
Awesome.
We're also having a dedicated parasitology laboratory, that also brand new, and that's about 22,000. And then we have we've just been refurbishing the actual main laboratory complex, which was completely destroyed. Certainly the roof had collapsed, and so what they did is the ministry were able to secure funding to raise it and prepare this external structure, and we as a project have been responsible for refurbishing with regard to bespoke cupboards, shelves, all that sort of stuff, and we'll go and have a look and see that. And that's all done, everything's done by local Haitian companies, and I have to say I'm pretty impressed with the work. It's slow, but it's getting there.
Gestion is the oldest communication agency in Port-au-Prince, and we've been working for a few months now on the Arch project, and we've been enjoying doing so. I have to say that personally I was very happy to learn that there was this organization who was going to take care of animals, because I love animals, so it was very personal. So I was very happy to meet you. But I do remember that I made some propositions, and that we all realized that education was going to be the most important thing. And then we realized that, of course, they love the pets, but they needed to know that the pets had to have vaccination, they had to have care, they had to be well taken care of, they had to have their shots. So sports were very educational. So the PSA, you see a family. The family is father, mother and daughter.
Bon, si gen urgence, ki sa pou m gen ki pou tout pare men?
Yon flash pou si yo
Yes, and they are talking about how to prepare for a disaster. And so they're talking and making the list. And then suddenly you hear the voice of that dog who's with them, is part of the family. And that dog is saying, you know what, you're making your list, but you have to include me in your list. You know, you have to, you know, what are you going to do about me? Because you need to protect me. Animals are your friends.
Well, today we are in Kinskov. We selected Kinskov as the first pilot for installation of one of these cold storage units. We picked it for a number of reasons, but most importantly because they're very active in their vaccination program, and it's an area that is not serviced with power. So this would be an ideal site for us to do our first installation. And as you can see, it came out pretty well. This is a Department of Agriculture building, and this is where the kind of the center of where the local veterinarians provide vaccination and basic care for the animals in this community. The solar energy to come into these batteries and charge these deep cell batteries, and then of course it's then converted into 110. Which then allows the freezer units and the refrigeration units. This is a refrigeration unit. This is where they will store all of their vaccines. And they will have their anthrax, they'll have their rabies, all of the particular vaccine for both companion animals and livestock. And they can now keep them cold. If they don't keep them cold, of course, then they degrade and they really will be lost. And then right next to that will be a freezer unit. And this is where they'll primarily keep all of their ice. And every day then, the vaccinators will come into here, they'll have their coolers, they will grab a bag of ice and then place their vaccines right on top of that to keep it cold all day. This particular building does not have power. I don't think it ever has had power. Many of the buildings in this area lost power during the earthquake, and the chance of them getting power back anytime soon is very small. So that's why we decided that we would place these units all around the country and really try to pinpoint on areas that were very active in their vaccination program, but also had the greatest need for these type of solar panels. We also have purchased some standard refrigeration units for those places that do have power. So in addition to the solar units, we also have some basic 110 refrigerator and freezer units. So our hope is that now we can continue to the vaccination programs nationwide.